Alrighty, so this is my feast question and answer. Dalton sent me a bunch of questions, and I'm going to try and answer them to the best of my abilities. Hi, my name's Rodney. I've been to 10, well, Feast 10 will be my 10th. I've been to all of them from the first to last year's Wild Wild Wet West Feast. So I've been to 9. It's been a wild, crazy ride. How did I first hear about Feast? Well, we came up with the idea after a car accident 9 years ago. It was pretty terrifying, but it was awesome at the same time because we all survived, and it's a memory. First Feast, it turned into, I remember it very clearly. Turn this down a little bit. I remember very clearly, Dalton and I were working at Hannaford then, and we both decided, you know what, let's do this. And we bought a bunch of rotisserie chickens, and we just kind of did it. We were pretty much underage then. I think I was freshly 21, and no one else was really that old. My pre-feast prep and game plan, that's tricky because a lot of times it's different. I try to be there early to help out as much as I can, but sometimes it doesn't work out. I've arrived as late as 5 o'clock. I'm generally there at noon though, and I wake Dalton up, and Kurt's already there, and Jacob's already there, and everyone's already like, "You're running late," that kind of stuff. But usually I get up that morning, I make my gunpowder dip and whatever other food, and I pack my car and I make my way there. It's usually a good time. My hangout area is everywhere. I'm kind of a free spirit. I go from the top of the hill to the bottom. I high five everybody along the way, and it's a good time. It's one of my favorite experiences actually, is being a part of all the groups. My favorite feast food has got to be, several years ago, Dalton and I made this rack of ribs, and we did a dry rub on it, and it was probably the most delicious thing I've ever eaten. It's either that or the chicken. Yeah. My favorite feast drink, well, years and years and years ago, we did this thing called the San Sebastian. And I know you want me to talk about that, but it's disgusting, so I'm not. I usually just go with a rum and orange, 100 proof, Captain Morgan's and orange soda. It's my favorite by far because it's just a creamsicle, and it's a great summer drink. Favorite feast theme. I was really big on toga. I love toga. It was a good time. It was also an age, like I was that appropriate age where it was a lot of fun for me. I don't know. I wear a sword every year. It's a good time. Let's see. My feast crew. Everybody's in my feast crew. I love everyone. Feast is well, as Andy once said, you don't really have to keep in touch with everybody. Everybody keeps in touch with you, and when you go to Feast, you catch up with everyone, and it's really important that you catch up with everyone, because without this, what are we doing it all for? You know, that's just my thought on it. I'm rambling a little bit. But my feast crew is everybody. I usually hang out with Andy a lot and Dalton a ton, and I'll be so happy when some of the older folks come back. Rawson's coming back this year, which is exciting. I can't wait to see everyone because I've been a busy working hornet lately. It's been angry, and I'm ready to cut loose and have some fun. Something that went perfectly at a feast. Last year when it rained, Dalton and I spent hours scared that it was going to rain the entire feast, and we kept saying, you know, forecast says 4 o'clock, it's going to stop on the dot, and him, Jacob, myself, and then Andy rolled up at about 3:30. We all sat at 10, and at 4 o'clock on the dot, the clouds opened up and blue skies prevailed, and it was a magical thing. It was beautiful. Let's see. Something went horribly wrong. A couple years back, there was a feast where everyone kind of went to bed, and all of a sudden a bunch of random people showed up, and it turned into a brawl. And by brawl, I mean Scott Westbury being like, "Get out of here!" And it was a good time. My best and worst moments at Feast, those are tricky. My best moments are probably when I find Andy passed out and I take a picture with him, or, I don't know, my best moments are with my friends. And years and years and years ago, we had a lightsaber duel. Another time, Chad and I fought with real swords in the middle. I dressed up as Peter Pan once, and that was a good time. Feast was fun. I love Feast. My worst moment at Feast? A couple years back, I brought Courtney with me, and the moment we had talked ahead of time, and I told her the moment she got drunk and insulted one of my friends, it was over, and I had to stand to that. And if I didn't stand to it, I wouldn't be who I am. But that really bummed me out because I had to hold her accountable, and we had to leave because I wasn't going to deal with her being awful to my friends. This is the most important thing to me every summer, and it's not something I take lightly. How late do I stay up at Feast? It all depends. I tend to go home a lot of times. It's my worst knock on at Feast. I head home early, and I don't think I will this year. I think I'll be an all-nighter this year. I tend to show up the next morning and find a lonely soul like Scott Westbury first thing in the morning. That's all the questions. There's a lot that goes into Feast. The message behind Feast, the great spirit of Feast, if you will, is that we're a family and we're friends and we never give up on each other, regardless of if we go years without talking. We all love each other very much, and it shows as an example. Here we are 10 years later. We've all gone different ways, different states, different places, and not just physically, we've gone mentally to different places, and it's a really unique mix because for one day everything is just washed away. Every anger we might have had with each other, any disagreement, any fight, it's all washed away when we hug each other and we laugh and we enjoy good company. I hope this is everything you wanted, Dalton. I rambled a lot, and I hope that's all right. I just wanted to say thanks for doing this every year. You put together a great show every year. You plan it all out and you set it all up, and yeah, sometimes it gets crazy and people become a pain in the ass, but you handle it incredibly well. And the rest of us, we all just kind of fall into place. We all worry and worry and worry, and then it works out. So, yeah. Oh, one final thing. Yeah, someone shit in the camper once. That was a funny time. These are hard to make videos. I'm sure I'll make another one.